This is KPRN-DB, broadcasting worldwide from Southeast Oklahoma, USA to parts unknown. Are you storing food? Many preppers are storing food for months and years, but only have enough fuel stored for days or weeks. Stretch your fuel storage by harnessing the power of the sun with a sun oven. Food can be baked, boiled, or steamed at temperatures of 360 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit with the power of the sun. Depending on where you are located, you can use the sun for 50 to 80% of your cooking, allowing you to preserve your fuel storage for rainy days. Sun-baked foods stay moister and have less shrinkage and don't burn. Sun-baked roasts are tastier and more succulent, and sun-baked bread has unparalleled taste and texture. Water can be heated in a sun oven for purification or personal hygiene. For the past 25 years, sun ovens have been proudly made in the U.S. They are durable, have a long life, and come with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. For a discount coupon, email podcast@sunoven.com. That's podcast@sunoven.com.
Have you ever wanted to generate your own supply of electrical power, even save money on your electric bill? If so, this is going to be the most important message you will ever hear. Solar power generators are now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running quietly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, and even keep your food from spoiling. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never suffer through painful power outages again. And here's the best news, a remarkable fall truckload sale going on right now that gets you $1,700 in bonuses when you buy a solar generator. To find out why solar generators are the best generators and get $1,700 for doing so, go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com. Generate your own supply of electricity. Go to falltruckloadsale.com. That's falltruckloadsale.com.
Feeling like there are too many pressures and demands on you? Losing sleep worrying about tests and schoolwork? Eating on the run because your schedule is just too busy? You may be under too much stress, and it may be affecting your mind. Get your mental edge back with Nootropic Mind Power from mindregard.com. Nootropic Mind Power is not a drug, but a natural supplement. Its 12 powerful ingredients are natural and non-GMO, plus it's gluten-free, wheat-free, and formulated by Americans for Americans by an NSF-certified laboratory. Nootropic Mind Power is available at mindregard.com, spelled mindregard.com, and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. Free your mind with Nootropic Mind Power cognitive supplement from mindregard.com. MindRegard. Clearly see tomorrow and yesterday. Today.
The truth is out there. Knowledge is power. This is the Prepper Podcast Radio Network.
Welcome to Soul Survivor Broadcasting. This is the Soul Survivor. Pastor Terry with you. It is January 6, 2013, the first broadcast of the new year for us. I'm glad you're with me. I hope you've had a good Christmas. I hope the Lord was very good to you. You had a blessed Christmas, and so far, I hope you've had a prosperous new year. And in light of everything that could be happening and maybe going on in the new year, I trust that you will expect, plan for, and strive to have a blessed new year. You do have some control. There are many things that are outside of our control individually right now. We are going to look at some of these as things move ahead. But for the most part, I want to encourage each one of you to look at the Lord Jesus Christ, to accept Him. I hope you know Him as your Lord and Savior. I hope you have a personal relationship with Him today. If you don't, I want to encourage you to do so. A simple prayer, a simple heartfelt prayer of belief in Him. Take a quick look at Romans chapter 10, verses 9 and 10. The Apostle Paul sums it up very simply there. It will help you tremendously. It will help you look at things in a very different light even given difficulties that we may face going into 2013. So, as I take a drink of coffee, I hope you have a cup with you today. And I hope that you are settled in for about an hour of Soul Survivor broadcasting. As we take a look at some of the events that are unfolding, we have obviously at the front of all of our radar screens right now are the attacks on the Second Amendment, which we knew would be coming. At least I hope you had sense enough to realize after the evil demonic who shot up the school in Connecticut and killed all of those children and the teachers there. I hope you realize the glory grabbers from the socialist side of things would jump up and they would try to use that as a springboard to take away the constitutional rights of Americans. I'm not going to refer to people as Democrats and Republicans any longer. After the behavior of some of the Republicans, the attitude of some of the Republicans, the behavior of some of the Democrats, and the attitude of some of the Democrats, I now refer to the two parties in America as the Socialist Party and the Constitutionalist. And with that, the Socialists are interested in one thing and only one thing. That is forwarding their agenda. And in order for them to do that, they must destroy the Constitution of the United States of America. Now, with that, there are two things that I want us to think about throughout some of this program anyway. I am right now opening a copy of the Constitution, one that I got from the Heritage Foundation. Very, very good group of people, and I hope that you have a copy of the Constitution. And in the preamble, we see, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So, we go through, I'm not going to sit here and take apart the entire Constitution. I do want to come over to the some things that I want to look at and some things that I want to read to you and talk to you about. Executive power. Article 2, Section 1 says the executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term be elected as follows. Now, so far, that's executive powers. Now, it describes the job of the President, how he is to be elected, how he is to be voted on, how he is to be approved, and so forth and so on. But at no time do we see him having the authority to do some of the things that have been done by the president that we have today. Has he overreached his authority? Absolutely. Have others before him overreached their authority? Absolutely. We live in a country today where overreach is something that is commonplace in our government. Anyone who has a title in front of their name feels as though they have the authority to really do whatever they want, whenever they want, any way they want, and no one has to answer to them. No one has to discuss anything with them. What I do, let me back up just a moment. I'm going to do a little change. I want to change on the fly, okay? I want to change on the fly right now. I had not planned on doing this. I was simply going to look at the First and Second Amendments to the Constitution and talk about how they're being abused and infringed upon. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back and we are going to look at as many shows as it takes. We are going to look at the Constitution of the United States of America. That's something I just feel laid upon my heart to do that. Now, before we get into the Constitution, I want to say this. There are 3 documents that take center stage in my life, 3 documents that really dictate and direct my life. First, it is my Bible. If there is ever a conflict between any one of the other 2 documents and my Bible will always stand firm and stand solid. And I say that because if a nation does not follow the Word of God and does not have a godly path in their life, they have nothing to look forward to but the judgment of God. And it does not matter how well-intentioned any other document is. If a nation has become so wicked, so evil, so sinful that they have nothing to look forward to except the judgment of God, then nothing else matters. It is time to repent. It is time to repent. There's something, before we get into our look at the Constitution, there's something that I want to pull up and I want to share with you. If you have a Bible handy, and I want to encourage you, moving ahead, when you listen to the Soul Survivor and Soul Survivor Broadcasting, moving forward, when you're listening to Pastor Terry, to myself, and we're going over some things, I want to encourage you to always have at your disposal a Bible. I'm not going to tell you what translation, that's up to you. I will be reading from the King James translation, the 1769 edition of the King James translation. And I want to encourage you to have something like that with you, whether it's a NASB, ESV, ASV, Revised Version, whatever it is that you use. But I want to read to the church. Now, this is to the Christian, okay? To the believer. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. We have a sin problem in America today. We don't have a Constitution problem. We don't have a Democrat and Republican problem. We don't have a wasteful spending problem. We don't have a debt ceiling limit problem. We have a problem of sin in America. On one hand, we have a group of people who say, take away all the guns, you take away all the violence, you stop all of the killing, and these same people, by the way, are saying, kill the NRA members, kill the gun people, execute them, get them out of the way. And these are also the same people that say, give women the right to murder innocent unborn children. I do not support abortion. I do not support homosexuality. If that rubs you the wrong way, then it rubs you the wrong way. But if you can show me in the Bible where God endorses and accepts the practice of abortion and the practice of homosexuality, and you can do it without twisting and perverting the Word of God, then I'll hush about it. But until then, God calls homosexuality an abomination and a sin, not worse than any sin, not any better, not any worse, but sin. And the murder or the unwarranted death of children is a sin. From the womb to the waiting room to the schoolroom. The murder of of innocent children is a sin. Until America experiences revival and until America turns back to God, there is going to be a problem with America's wants versus America's judgment by God. And friends, make no mistake about it. Doesn't matter. And I'm a prepper just like the rest of you. But it doesn't matter how many bullets and how many guns you've got. When it comes down to facing God's judgment, they're worthless. And America had better be prepared to face God's judgment if we don't straighten up. Okay, so much for the preaching. So much for the preaching. But since God changed the direction of my broadcast today, then I wanted to get that in there and let you know exactly where we need to be looking and what we need to be dealing with. I can't fix your life. I can't save your soul. I can't get your sins redeemed. Only you can do that by going to God. Okay, let's look at our Constitution. Excuse me, I'm trying to get over a little bug here, so if I do clear my throat and my voice starts cracking and breaking, please understand. I have already preached one message this morning. This is a recorded 1-hour broadcast, and then I will preach again tonight. So my voice is being strained just a little today. Article 1, I've already read the preamble. Here is Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years old and been 7 years a citizen in the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. So, here in parentheses, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this Union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound for service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. That was changed by Section 2 of the 14th Amendment. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years. That is our census. In such manner as they shall by law direct, the number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantation 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancy happen to the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall writ of elections to fill the vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other offices, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Now that is Section 2 read verbatim out of the copy of the Constitution that I have. Let's go back and let's take it apart a little bit, and let's discuss it, talk about it, get some things out there, and give you some thoughts and opinions from me. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 and been a citizen for 7 years, who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he is chosen. So, we have an election every second year by the people of the state, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. So the state legislature is involved, the elections of the people are involved, and no person is allowed to be a representative that has to be at least 25 years of age and been a citizen for 7 years. So they have to be an inhabitant of the state in which they are to be chosen. Pretty cut and dried. Most of the Constitution is pretty cut and dried. So, since we have a Senate and a House of Representatives, we see the House of Representatives now is broken down very specifically. Not a lot of dilly-dallying around there. Pretty cut and dried and pretty to the point. It talks about vacancies. It talks about the representatives shall choose their speaker, and other offices shall have the sole power of impeachment. Now that's something that's very interesting. The Congress, the House of Representatives, has the sole power of impeachment. So why does our Congress, if they are so if they're so frustrated with the way the current administration is working and has been working, why does the Congress of the United States of America not step up and invoke their powers of impeachment? Now, I'm throwing that question out there because we're seeing a lot of politics being played out on television right now, a lot of name calling, a lot of finger pointing. But here we see that there's a power of impeachment. Now, what constitutes impeachment? Hopefully we'll get into some of that as well. So obviously there has to be some rules for impeachment, right? Does that not make sense? That there is some rules for impeachment? Let me see if I can find those pretty quickly. Let me look here. Let me do just a little quick RUL rules of impeachment. Rules of impeachment. Let's see what we come up with. Now, okay, here we go. US Gov Info website here that's coming up. Okay. Congress is introduced a resolution. This was about the impeachment of John Tyler. Impeachment process in the House of Representatives. Now, the House Judiciary Committee decides whether or not to proceed with impeachment. If they do, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee will propose a resolution calling for the Judiciary Committee to begin a formal inquiry into the issues. Based on their inquiry, the Judiciary Committee will send another resolution to the full House stating that impeachment is warranted and why the articles of impeachment or that impeachment is why or why not is called for. Now, what are the articles of impeachment? They are, let's see, let me take a quick look here and make sure. Okay, okay, here's a case point. Bill Clinton. On August 17, 1998, William Jefferson Clinton swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before a federal grand jury of the United States. Contrary to that oath, William Jefferson Clinton willfully provided perjurious, false, and misleading testimony to the grand jury concerning one or more of the following: the nature and details of his relationship with a subordinate government employee, prior perjurious, false, and misleading testimony he gave in a federal civil rights action brought against him, prior false and misleading statements he allowed his attorney to make to a federal judge in that civil rights action, and his corrupt efforts to influence the testimony of witnesses and to impede the discovery of evidence. In doing this, William Jefferson Clinton has undermined the integrity of the office, has brought disrepute on the presidency, and has betrayed his trust as president and has acted in a manner subversive to the rule of law and justice, to the manifest injury of the people of the United States, wherein William Jefferson Clinton by such conduct warrants impeachment and trial and removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. Interesting. So, when we look at impeachment, obviously the president has to do something that causes problems with his integrity and the office that he holds. The full House then will vote under special rules set out by the House Rules Committee and debate and vote on the article of impeachment. If any of the articles or the writings or the recommendation for impeachment, if any of them be approved by simple majority, the president will be impeached. However, the way the process is set up, being impeached is sort of like being indicted of a crime. There still has to be a trial, which is where the U.S. Senate comes in. Now what did I just read with Article 2? The House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and shall have the sole power of impeachment. So I'm a little confused where the Senate gets involved now. How did that happen? How did we get the Senate involved when the Constitution says they shall have the sole power of impeachment? But in either case, the way we're set up right now, the articles of impeachment are received from the House to the Senate. The Senate formulates rules and procedures for holding a trial. So now we're taking away from the Congress part of their authority, and while the Congress is given an attaboy and a pat on the back and saying, okay, you have indicted this person, now we're going to try this person. Shouldn't be an indictment. Either he is guilty, they have the sole meaning only, power of impeachment. So the Senate formulates the rules for holding a trial. Now a trial will be held. The president will be represented by lawyers. A select group of House members will serve as prosecutors. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will preside with all 100 senators acting as a jury. The Senate will meet in private session to debate a verdict. The Senate, in open session, will vote on a verdict. A two-thirds vote of the Senate would result in a conviction. The Senate will vote to remove the president from office. The Senate may also vote by simple majority to prohibit the president from holding any public office in the future. So, now the Senate can go behind closed doors. Now, this is where it gets political, especially in the situation where we're at now. Let's look at Benghazi. Now, we know that the State Department is taking the fall for this, but everyone, including the White House, is still avoiding and ducking and getting off the radar with this thing of how much did the president know and when did he know it. If the president knows, and it is shown that he had knowledge of the acts that were going on, then he has perjured himself, and he could be impeached and should be impeached. This is just one of other possible things that went on. What are impeachable offenses? Well, in Article 2, Section 4, and we haven't quite gotten there yet, but it says the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, other high crimes, and misdemeanors. In his report, independent counsel, Starr, when we go across about Bill Clinton again, accuses him of committing 11 acts for which he would be removed from office by impeachment. Now, are any of the acts treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanors? That's up to the House of the Representatives. Up to them, according to constitutional lawyers, high crimes and misdemeanors are real criminality breaking the law, abuses of power, violation of public trust, as defined by Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers. Now, remember Nixon. In 1970, Representative Gerald Ford defined impeachable offense as whatever a majority of the House of Representatives considers it to be at a given moment in history. An excellent definition. The Mr. Former President in the past Congress had issued articles of impeachment for acts in three general categories: exceeding constitutional bounds of the powers of office, behavior grossly incompatible with the proper function and purpose of the office, and employing the power of the office for an improper purpose or for personal gain. Now go back to that first one, exceeding the constitutional bounds of the powers of the office. As a citizen of the United States of America and as a voter in the United States of America, I right now want to formally go on record as accusing President Barack Obama of exceeding the constitutional bounds of the powers of his office. He has done so. And he has done so blatantly, and he has done so erroneously. So now my question stands to reason: why has the Congress not filed for impeachment? I'm going to answer that here shortly. But when we're looking at the Constitution, we have a group of people sitting in Washington right now that are so corrupt, that are so messed up, spiritually, mentally, legally, and everything else. They have one thing and one thing only in their mind, and that is ultimate power. I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent. I don't care who it is. If they are affiliated with Washington, D.C., the only thing they care about is ultimate power. They're socialist. They're not constitutionalist. I would not be afraid to venture that we could not find enough constitutionalists to count on one hand, because they're not interested in the Constitution. They're not interested in representing the people. They're not interested in you and I. They're interested in taking from you and I. They're interested in our tax money. They're interested in our vote. And outside of those two things, they could care less. They are all as corrupt can be. None of them follow the Constitution of the United States of America. Article 1, Section 2 proves it. If John Boehner and his Republican Congress were as loyal to the Constitution as they want you and I to believe they are, they would have filed impeachment proceedings against Barack Obama in his first term for overreach. It's been accused, they've stood on national television, and they have accused Barack Obama of overreaching his powers in the office of the presidency, and we just read a historical statement by a former president that said that that particular offense in and of itself is an impeachable offense. So what makes the Constitution any different in 2012 and 13 than it was in 1970? The Constitution hasn't changed, but the people have. There's probably enough dirt on John Boehner that he's been told, go ahead, muddy the waters, and we'll muddy the waters, and we'll see who can throw the most mud. I don't know. I don't know the answer to all of that. I do know this. I do know that we live in a country with leaders who have perverted, distorted, and muddied the Constitution. Now, we're in Article 1, Section 2. Well, let's move on to Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature. Now, that's interesting. Chosen by the legislature. So that means the state legislatures, and it's supposed to be thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. So why do we have senators politicking for public vote? Because of the 17th Amendment. The 17th Amendment changed this and allowed it to be a public vote. So another one of the political processes. They did not want they wanted to limit the state's authority and the state's role in the federal government. We're going to cross that bridge a little later. We're looking at it now, but we're going to cross it later. Now we go on to say in section 3, immediately after they shall be assembled, in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year. If vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall fill such vacancies. Now, again, that part of it was changed by the 17th Amendment also. About vacancies, if the vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the state legislature, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting. So, when they done away with the state legislature actually appointing senators, they also done away with state legislatures being able to fill the vacancies. Okay, so more politics. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 and been 9 years a citizen, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he is chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote, unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers, and also a President pro tempore in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of the President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on an oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal of office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. So I think I answered one of my own questions here earlier, why it says the sole power of the Congress was to go through with impeachments and the Senate was to try them. I'm assuming that was set up for checks and balances, and that was part of the original writing, and I respect that. What I don't agree with and don't understand is the way through the 17th Amendment they have voted for party line politics to become involved in this. Right now, if the Congress of the United States would impeach President Barack Obama and send him to the Senate for trial, there would not be a question about any type of a trial. There would be no trial. There would be a closed-door telephone session in which the Democrats would start flexing their muscle and their re-election money, and they would just simply arm twist the Democratic votes, and that would be that. One thing I did notice as I read over this, the Vice President of the United States shall be the President of the Senate, but shall have no vote. If he is the President of the Senate, what's Harry Reid's job? Why is Harry Reid the spokesman? Says they will choose their other officers and also a President pro tem. And I guess I'm assuming that's what role Harry Reid is filling. Folks, I'm not going to sit here and claim to be an expert with the Constitution, but it doesn't take an expert to see how it's being abused. So, I will correct myself in some of my thinking and some of my discussion as I go through this. But it's a learning process, and I'm not afraid to be wrong, and I'm not afraid to be corrected. I'm not afraid to learn. But as I learn, I hope others in leadership aren't afraid to be questioned about. They're supposed to already know this. That's why they're in these positions, and why are they abusing them? That's where I'm standing today. Why are they abusing them? Section 4. The times, places, and manners of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. The times, places, and manners of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state. Okay. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulation except as to the places of choosing senators. Congress shall assemble at least once every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December. Again, this was changed by Section 2 of the 12th Amendment, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. So, there is no guaranteed or no set-aside appointed time for Congress to meet. That's interesting, isn't it? Could that be because of the fact that when Congress was first established and set in place, that it was an elected service position for the people of America and not a paid careered position? Could it be that these people of the first Congress, they had businesses and jobs and things of that nature, of which they were very highly respected in the community, and they left their job for a short while, went to Washington, convened in Congress, took on the matters of the nation, and then when they were done with that, they went back. Now they go to Washington, they argue, they quibble, they bicker, party line partisanship. There's no end in sight. They're all worried about this one needs to do that, and that one needs to do the other, and then they close down their session, make their votes, they go back to their plush offices and their $174,000 a year paychecks. As a citizen and a taxpayer, do you ever feel like you're getting screwed by the very people that you elect to represent you? I do. I do. Each house, in Section 5, shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy. And in the yeas and nays of the members of either house on questions shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that which the two houses shall be sitting. So there's some little rules there, and they're allowed to tweak them as they want for each particular house. Section 6, the senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury. They shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of peace be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of the respective houses, and in going and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed, to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created for the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time, and no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. So, it says that they will be paid for their services, and it will be paid out of the Treasury, and unless they are accused or convicted of treason, felony, and breach of peace, they're not to be arrested for their service during their session, during their time in office, and that's understandable. There's a lot of things that have to be confronted by these folks. I am sympathetic with a lot of their work. I am. Because especially in this day and age, there's a lot going on in our government. But that does not excuse partisan politics and blatant corruption. It just doesn't. It just doesn't excuse it. Even, I'll go as far as saying this. Being a gun owner and a gun advocate, I understand the people who live in California, who live in New York, who live in Chicago, particularly California, the San Francisco, L.A., Oakland, those larger cities. They see a lot of gun violence. They see a lot of potential for gun violence, and they have raised a culture in those areas where they have demonized gun ownership. So people are afraid of guns. They don't understand firearms. They're afraid of firearms. Most of you listening to the Soul Survivor broadcast and our program, we're in rural America. We're in the suburbs. We come from rural America. We have the privilege of living in an area where we're blessed with sensible people. And in reality, the nutcases from the city do not want to come to rural America because it's a lifestyle and a culture that, frankly, they're not able to intimidate us. However, Miss Feinstein's area, Miss Feinstein herself is obviously intimidated by firearms, even though she has one, even though she carries. She is obviously intimidated by them because of the people that she represents. She knows she represents a bunch of nutcases. And Harry Reid represents a bunch of nutcases. Even though Harry Reid receives money from the NRA, and Harry Reid is very well thought of with the NRA. He is a gun owner. These large cities, they have a different culture that you and I aren't accustomed to. Now, I may be talking to someone out there who lives there, and please understand, I'm not trying to be condescending to anyone. I'm just trying to make a point of a culture difference and a difference in ideology and philosophy across our nation. So, with that being said, why do we all have to behave as if everyone is evil? Why can't, if California is full of nut jobs that don't need to have guns, then let California restrict them. Let it be a state's issue. Let the states resolve it themselves. It has no place in the federal government. The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Now, we're going to move on. We're going to continue to look at some other stuff here. All bills for raising revenue in Section 7 shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it, but if he not, he shall return it with his objections, so that the House in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on the journal and proceed to reconsider it. This is what was supposed to have happened with the physical cliff. And this is where the Congress is catching a lot of justified grief right now. The Congress was supposed to have put together a bill and sent it to the Senate. It doesn't say they were to enter into meetings with the president and work out the details of his approval in advance. That's not what it says. It says they were supposed to propose a bill, and they were supposed to send that bill to the Senate. And if the Senate approves it, then it goes to the president. If the Senate doesn't approve it, then it is to be negotiated and worked out between the House and the Senate, and then sent to the president, and then he either approves it or he disapproves it. If he disapproves it, he sends it back to the House, and the whole process starts over again. Now, some people want to argue and say, well, there just wasn't enough time to do that. Baloney. There was plenty of time to do it. Last year, when I'm talking about the Congress and the Senate, agreed to this stupid cliff program that they come out with to hold themselves supposedly responsible and accountable, where the spending cuts to the entitlement programs and to defense were to automatically take place, they had 1 year. 1 year to sit down with this. It should not have taken our congressman more than a few months to put together a proposal and send it to the Senate. Had the Congress done this, then the Congress could have came back and said, we have sent the Senate X number of bills. They have ultimately rejected every one of them because they want it their way or no way. And then the onus of the problem would have fallen to the Senate. The Senate is not supposed to confer with the president either. It doesn't say that they can't, but it doesn't say that they should. The Senate is supposed to be acting on behalf of their own behalf. But we can't get political partisanship out of the way. And political partisanship was what ruined Congress with this. Political partisanship is what kept the Congress from actually proposing a bill. They were so, the Congress was so wrapped up in trying to win the presidential election that they neglected the duties of their own office. The Senate was so wrapped up in trying to win a presidential election, they neglected the duties of their own office. They're not interested. The Republicans are not interested in anything except putting a president in the White House. The Democrats are not interested in anything except putting a president in the White House. Why? Because they want to know that they have the attaboy before they put a bill there, and it doesn't have to be debated. Bottom line, neither party want you or I to know what is in a piece of legislation by reading it on the floor and having it reported. If there is a newscast out there today that would honestly report it, and I really doubt that. I think the media is going to slant it for their best interest. Folks, our Constitution, the more we learn, the more we read, the more we know, the more we can see that it is being perverted. Well, let's move on. There's a lot more in Section 7. Now, we see that if he approves it, if the president approves it, he shall sign it. But if not, he will return it with his objections to that house in which it shall have originated, or shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after reconsideration 2/3 of that house agrees to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered. And if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. So here, it's to be a public vote, and they are to be recorded publicly. And if any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, except Sundays, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be law. So there's some fairness that's built in here, but there is a procedure that's built in here, and that procedure is not being followed in Washington. It's not being followed by the President. It's not being followed by the Senate, and it's not being followed by the House of Representatives. Now, I realize I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know just by gut feeling, but hopefully we're reading the Constitution and we're going over it and we're looking at it together in a way where, I may not catch every detail of every word and of every context that I'm reading here, but I catch enough of it to know that it's not being followed. I don't care if it is Democrat or Republican. I don't care if it's independent or libertarian. I don't care. What I care about is our Constitution is not being followed. And it's not open to interpretation. It's pretty cut and dried. Okay? It's pretty cut and dried. So, every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of the bill. So, Congress passes a spending bill. Congress sends it to the Senate. The Senate rejects it, sends it back to the Congress. The Congress then, they have to send it back with their rejections. So then what happens? If you know you're going to be fighting a battle, you take it to the American people. You call a press conference and you sit down in front of the American people. John Boehner could have sat down in front of the American people and said, look, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to accomplish. And this is how we want to accomplish it. The Senate says no. They insist on this. We are at an impasse. Folks, we have email today. We have all kinds of electronic tools. We have all kinds of ways of getting things to the people. We just had an election in November. Why not let the people decide how they want their money spent? And then let it go back to Congress, and Congress says, according to the people, this is what the people want, and send it to the Senate. We have two houses of Congress for a reason. It's called checks and balances. And they have distorted it and they have perverted it. I realize there's going to be grandstanding, and I realize there's going to be an impasse. But in reality, this whole physical cliff stuff has gotten us nowhere. Oh, we've got a law on the book. So we've got a bunch of other taxes coming out, but it's not stopping anything. All we've accomplished is just borrowing more money, spending more money that we do not have, and increasing taxes that do not need to be paid. We're heading toward our own demise. And I'm afraid that we're on a path of total destruction. I'm afraid we are imploding. We are imploding because of greed. We are imploding because of selfishness. We are imploding because of arrogance. We are imploding because we no longer care about right and wrong. Right and wrong is what we make it in our minds. That's why I go back to my Bible, and that's why I encourage you to as well. We elect people to go up there and represent us. When they go up there and they fail to do that job, we have no more authority. They have taken that away from us. They're not going to be held accountable by us. They're just simply not going to listen to us. They've already shown that. God will listen. We've got prayer. I hope that America will turn back to God in a way and in a manner that will, that will honor God, and that will allow us to put people in elected offices that love God, that love to do the right thing and want to do the right thing for the right reason. I don't know if America can recover from this. I really don't. I don't know if America has the ability to bring itself back from this. Even God with His blessings, we have we would have to lower our living standard to such a degree. I don't know if most Americans are willing to do that. I don't know if most Americans are actually willing to live within their means. Do away with the credit cards. Do away with borrowed money. Do away with trying to keep up with the Joneses. Do away with all of that and just live within our means. I don't know if we have enough people in America willing to do that, willing to sacrifice what's necessary in order to put our country back on right track again. The first thing we have to sacrifice is our pride and our ego, and in doing so, we have to reach up to God. We have to come back to Him. Are you willing to do that today? Folks, we're out of time this week. We will pick up next week our look at the Constitution, and we will look at Section 8 of Article 2 next week. And until then, God bless you is my prayer. Remember our email address, prepperspastor@frontier.com. That's prepperspastor@frontier.com. Drop us a line. Let us know you're listening. Give us some comments. Give us some feedback, okay? This is your program. This is for your benefit. This is to help the listener. Until next week, God bless you is my prayer.
Are you sick and tired of having your First Amendment harassed or censored on Facebook? Use no more, as we now have a new alternative to Facebook. It's called Awareness Act. Awareness Act is a social network designed for patriots, to be used by patriots, and is ran by patriots. Stand up and help in the fight to protect your constitutional rights. Patriots can create pages, blogs, videos, documents, articles, and so much more. We even have a unique news feed system that allows you to share, read, or connect with any patriot on Awareness Act. We are a dedicated tool for patriots to use against the tyranny our Constitution is facing. So if you're tired of having your rights infringed upon, come check us out at www.awarenessact.com. Again, that is www.awarenessact.com, the social network for patriots, not potatoes.
Whether you take me for the fool, I know that I can be. Whether you see me eye to eye.
The new Be Prepared for Christmas package from Sun Ovens contains everything you need to harness the power of the sun for cooking, water, and dehydrating. The perfect gift for the preppers or outdoor enthusiast on your shopping list. A sun oven uses the sun's power to bake, boil, or steam food, heat water for purification or personal hygiene, or solar dehydrate. When you use the sun's power on sunny days, you preserve your fuel storage for rainy days. Sun-baked foods retain moisture, have less shrinkage, and do not burn. Sun-baked roasts are tastier and more succulent, and sun-baked bread has unparalleled taste and texture. The new Be Prepared for Christmas package lets you roast an 18-pound turkey. For the past 26 years, Sun Ovens has been proudly made in the U.S., are durable, and have a long life and come with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. For a discount coupon, visit sunoven.com/podcast. That's sunoven.com/podcast. This is KPRN-DB, broadcasting worldwide from Southeast Oklahoma, USA to parts unknown.